a lot to talk about. And you and I have had some great conversations over the past year or so. First, though, I have to say, and I will say that it feels good to be getting back to normal, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But it's with a heavy heart right now. And all of our conversations, we are really thinking about what's going on overseas, the war in Ukraine, the Russian invasion. I just want to ask you a first question. How's everybody at Cisco doing? You guys have operations in Russia, Ukraine. How's everything going?
It's really hard. About 4 weeks ago, we started to offer our employees in Ukraine the ability to relocate out of the country, and had a small number of our employees take us up on that. We have about 70 employees in Ukraine. In the last week and a half, we've had about 30 families opt to leave, and so we're helping them get to Poland. From a Russia perspective, our employees are struggling too. And so we have a much bigger operation there. And we have put our employees on a paid leave, given the U.S. sanctions. And we're doing our best just to, of course, adhere to the sanctions and take care of our people. But it's heavy and it's hard.
Is it changing strategy rethink and what this year looks like? I mean, we are at this point where our in-house strategists are saying that the longer this goes on, we've got to rethink what the second half of this year looks like.
It's significant. I will tell you, it's another really challenging example of a huge event putting the focus on people and then putting the focus on business and what needs to evolve. And so it's something that we're staying close to. We're trying our best to remain hopeful in an environment where there's not a lot of that right now.
Yeah, it does feel like it's a reminder the last couple of years, just things are coming at us from so many different angles. All right, so the American workforce, the Cisco workforce in general, if we can take a step back prior to kind of the latest, I don't want to call it a black swan event, but stress on our system. How are they doing?
So I would say they're doing well, and I saw some of the poll numbers that you just shared.
Do you agree with them?
I agree with most. I felt like the productivity number was a little bit lower.
Okay.
So we have felt like we didn't see a productivity dip whatsoever. We are trying really hard to get that well-being perception up. And so what I would say is that our people have found a new way to work. And the market right now for talent, as you all know, it's so incredibly hot that I think people are asking the question right now, is it worth it? Where do I want to be? And so I think you have this moment where companies are trying to be their best for their people, and their people are really thinking about what's next.
Well, and it's interesting. You guys go out and survey quarterly.
We do.
Your workforce. How has it changed through the life of the pandemic, and what of the results do you think stick with us longer term? Because I think we're trying to find out, is the normal with us for a little while, memories are short, we go back to the way it was, or does it stay with us?
Okay, so it's really interesting. So I'll tell you about the elements that have changed the most over the last 2 years. So the first is around well-being.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, what we could see was that women and our people leaders had lower well-being than our individual contributors. And what we basically said at that moment was, our people are caregivers in every aspect of their life. You're caring for your teams, you're caring for loved ones. And so we started to reconcile that and put programs around how to help it. Recently, what we saw is that men's well-being has also dropped. So women have held, men have met them there. And so we just see a lot of our employees struggling with well-being. And so that's one thing that we've seen.
Does that stay with us? I feel like we are all very sensitive, very aware. We're asking about everybody. Managers are asking. They seem to care. Does it stay?
I think it does stay. I do. I think you're also going to see companies get more and more creative around how they address well-being and some of the root cause issues, not just how do I help you at work with this issue, like how do I help you where you are at the moment? That's how we're looking at it from a Cisco perspective. And so I can see that shift, which makes me optimistic that well-being will be a conversation for us into the future. I think the other thing that the engagement poll surveys show is that when leaders are checking in with their people, when our people feel attention, that really impacts retention for the company, connection to the executives, and to the overall strategy of the company. And so there's some basic things that our surveys tell us there as well that we'll continue to lean into.
The relationship with management,
yes.
employees.
Yes.
There's probably been a lot written about it. but we really understand that it does make a difference in terms of retention and connection for workers, especially at a time when it's such a tight labor force that a lot of workers can go, they have a lot of choices.
That's right, that's right. I think what we see is that at Cisco, the data shows us that when a leader says, hey, how is it going? What can we be doing better? You have 21 times higher likelihood of holding on to that talent. And so just the curiosity and the interest in what can be better is so huge.
Well, talk to me about how that has helped in terms of promotion, retention. I mean, you talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you guys have been promoting a lot.
We have. So what we shared recently is that over the last year, we have promoted 30% of our employees.
Is that normal, Fran?
No, it's above normal. Typically, that number would probably be half of that. And what we have seen is a couple of things. One, there was just this pent-up demand, but two, the market is going to promote your people. The market will take a bet on your people, so why wouldn't you? And so we have leaned into that. We will continue to be aggressive with promotion because really promotions equal your career path and that career velocity, which is something that is so personal and so important to employees.
Well, it's interesting. So I'm going to go back to, it is such a tight labor force.
It is.
I mean, we all talk about just the jobs that we're finding from LinkedIn and our inbox. It's just pretty amazing. Again, as the workforce, as labor kind of gets back to normal, do you assume that management will continue to engage at this level?
I hope so.
But you're not sure.
I hope so. You know, it's something that is natural for a percentage of your leaders. It is just natural for them to care and to check in and to be there. And for some, we're really trying to help them on that journey. I do think there's going to be a point where we say, hey, if you're not a servant leader, if you're not really clear on the strengths of every single person on the team and how to support them, and you don't know what's going on in their home life, maybe you shouldn't be a people leader.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get to that point.
I am also curious about when it comes to bigger issues. Your title, you're part of the C-suite, you're part of the executive leadership at Cisco. It's people, it's policy, it's purpose.
Right.
And I think about what's going on in Ukraine. We've certainly seen it, you know, George Floyd, racism, inequities, so many different things in the last couple of years. Exacerbated, accelerated a lot of attention, maybe because we all were at home, that we were requiring our leadership to talk about it. Does that also continue? And how does that affect recruitment, retention?
So,
what's the conversations? Because
yeah.
you know, when they do these quarterly surveys at Cisco, I said to you, all right, are they softened down? Are you kind of filtering through the questions so that it's softballs to management? It's not.
It's not. And the other thing is we are really careful that only a direct leader sees their results. And that way you don't have some crazy stuff going on where leaders are trying to influence their teams a little bit. So we're really careful about that.
But there are real questions that they are asked in those surveys.
Absolutely.
And then live back and forth.
Absolutely. And here's what I would say to your question. I don't believe this is going to go away because employees don't want it to go away. And so as an example, yesterday at Cisco, we had a company check in specifically on Ukraine and Russia. Mm-hmm. And our employees want us to have this conversation. And if you think about it, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, you wouldn't be talking about some of the issues. So the first thing is employees want their companies to be engaged and to voice where they stand. I think the second thing is we're seeing candidates as they interview with Cisco and many other companies, they're also reading the purpose report. They're looking at the stance. I had an employee recently say to me, thank you for taking this stance because I don't have to leave. And so you understand just how important that is at this moment for our people.
Is it IT that's like this? Or do you think, you guys have a lot of clients in a lot of different walks of our world. Every company we talk to, every leader I talk to has a tech component and they're all fighting for these workers. So is it IT specific in terms of these trends you're talking about, or what do you think?
No, I think it's more broad. And I think most companies are viewing themselves as technology companies as we continue to evolve, of course. And I would say these themes are across the board. I think, you know, your business, your profile also impacts how you're stepping up to these issues or how these issues are hitting you and your people, of course.
So hybrid.
Yes.
First of all, show of hands. How many think that hybrid is here to stay? Yes. That's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think, I mean, I'd be really wealthy if I had $1 for every time I brought up this conversation. But I mean, I think we're like, hybrid not, I hear different things from leaders who are like, they're embracing it now, but there are a lot of folks who have some pretty pricey real estate who would love to see people back in those offices.
Oh, goodness. So here's what I would say. A week ago at Cisco, we had our office reopening. So we haven't been open in almost 2 years now. Yeah. And my team was laughing a little bit. We had this beautiful balloon arch welcoming people back into the office. And they didn't come, right? And that'll change. I do think it'll change. But
were you shocked? Were you guys shocked?
We were debating. We didn't know if there was going to be a stampede because so many people had told us they missed the office. But I think what they really meant was we miss each other. And I think the other thing that they're telling us, as funny as this sounds, is they're not going to come into the office for work. They're going to come into the office when there's a team event, when customers are with us. They're going to come in when there's a reason.
Yeah.
And because productivity hasn't been impacted and because we've built new habits, there has to be a why.
Interesting. So is it changing how you guys approach this?
It is. So, you know, the first thing is we were already looking at real estate and really thinking through how we want to use our space. But I think the most important thing that we have to start talking about is for different types of work, how should that work get done? How can we help our people be at their best as they do the work? It's really less about where you are. I think it's about who comes together and how you do it.
Well, let's talk about physical workspace, and we're going to get into this a little bit later on at our event today. I know we have some slides, and maybe we can bring them up, because you guys are kind of rethinking this and this whole idea of collaborative space. I think you're working in New York on some of this, and maybe we can bring up the slides and show everybody. How are you thinking about it?
So, just as I mentioned, if our people are coming into the office now to meet with one another, your space has to change. So the New York office, which is opening, I think it's April 4th. I was just there 2 weeks ago. It's beautiful. It's so different. So in the past, it was 70% offices and cubes, and then 30% open space. And now it's the reverse. So it's all open space. I think all of us like to work in our kitchen. And so it feels like a ton of kitchens that you're working at.
Do you like working in your kitchen? Okay. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it has a very different feel. I think it's meant to bring people together. There's an informality, which I also think is really important. It allows us to say, hey, Carol, do you want to huddle on that issue? Let's go ahead and sit down together. It just has a really nice feel. And I think we're going to be doing that across all of our offices. Technology will be huge, and this is such an important point. A lot of people have FOMO. They feel like, gosh, did I miss out by not coming in? Or everyone's home, should I be home?
You hear that feedback.
Absolutely, and so what you have to do is you have to make sure that the technology works so that everyone feels included, and there isn't a select group of people that are together and the others are trying to break in.
You mentioned technology. You guys are a technology company. You are about connecting people, and you guys saw that certainly clearly during the pandemic. What are you seeing? You have clients across all industries globally. So what are you seeing in terms of their demands? Because for them to spend on IT, they have to believe that this is going to stick around for a while.
Yeah, so this is pretty amazing. So when we talk to our customers, they're telling us that 98% of meetings will have someone who is not in the office. So they really want to solve for the problem. They don't want to have the scenario anymore. I think you all know this, where you have someone dialing in and you see the big, long table and you can barely see like the faces, and you're trying to like gauge like the tone or how people are feeling, and you can't, right? And so the technology now, something that we have launched, is you have the ability to focus on every single face around the table, and the technology puts a box around them. This concept of everyone having the same size box, it's meaningful. It really hits on an inclusion theme, and so our customers are asking for help in those ways.
I have to say that during the pandemic, and then sitting and having a conversation with a CEO from their home, and we're all the same boxes, like it was just kind of put us all on the same plane. It was interesting psychologically. So if physical office space, you're reworking it, rethinking it. Does it mean you don't need as much going forward?
Most likely, yeah. I think it's funny. We're going to invest probably as much as we always have, which is fascinating, but you don't need as much of it. And you just need to make it work for you a lot more than it does today. And so what that means for us around the globe is that our teams are thinking about, is this the moment that we want to change location? Is this the moment that we switch to a smaller footprint full of these huddle spaces? And so we're doing that around the world.
Might you then also even consider, I don't need to be in those major urban hubs or those major cities, that I can go elsewhere? Like we've talked about, Americans haven't been moving around for decades. Finally, we're starting to see some movement because they can.
It's funny, it's almost a tale of two cities, haha.
Yeah.
So talent, if they come in, they want to be in the urban centers. And we see that through our data around the globe. But there are people who are now reconciling the fact that they don't actually have to be in, and those folks are making the decision to leave. But where you actually have centers, it's usually going to be in those urban centers.
Metaverse?
Yes.
Your technology company, everybody's talking about metaverse. Yeah. Head of Disney, Jamie Dimon, are we going to be working to some extent? We don't know yet. I know it's early. Is the metaverse or your boss as a 3D hologram? We just had a story in Bloomberg about this. I mean, kind of innovation in terms of how we work.
Yeah, you know, I think like everyone else, we're figuring it out and we're taking baby steps. I think you probably have seen we do have a Webex hologram. I was thinking the next time we talk, I should come in on hologram. That'd be kind of fun for us to do.
No, but it's real, right?
But it's real.
Yeah.
And gives us opportunities. It's funny, a few years ago, something that kind of changed my thinking, we had the ability to look at the Cisco organization. So imagine like an organization chart, right? And I put on VR goggles and I was able to walk through our organization. And what I was able to see is teams across the company, right? And I could see a team that had low engagement. I could see a team where I didn't understand why they were reporting so low, like they were the only team at the 10th level. And it helped me to understand that there are ways to experience organization structure that we can't today in a 2D type situation. And so it's fascinating. I think there are applications, and I think that should guide us around where we start.
So productive, it could be. We've talked about a lot. I know we've got to wrap up, and there's a lot more to come. I just think, in terms of how we work, not a blip.
Not a blip.
And you guys have been, to be fair, hybrid pre-pandemic. You're a technology company. This is what you guys have been doing. But when we think about the constructive conversation we have to be about the American worker and how we're working, what should it be?
Yeah, I would say especially right now, Carol, with the great resignation going on, it's not a blip because our people want flexibility and choice in how they work. And if companies don't provide that to them, they will go where they can get it. And again, if you look at the last 2 years as a proof point that it can be done, not for all types of roles, but that it can be done, I think we're going to continue. And I think the key for companies is to really figure out how you can make it work for you and how do you continue to put people at the center of everything you do.